Welcome back to the Wrestling Roundtable. You mentioned something about north-south, pick side sort of thing.
Yeah.
If the
kind of like the United States.
If the Monday Night War was ever recreated, do you see region playing a factor in it?
Well,
TNA is in its own region.
No.
They don't travel.
No?
They don't travel.
Perhaps not in the States. If there's some sort of international thing that catches on, it could be like America, because now everything's America versus the rest of the world. No freedom fries and that sort of stuff. So if you could get something going that's like just so drastically different in every way, that completely toots to its own horn, so to speak. Perhaps, but I don't think as far as America goes, you're not going to get anything north-south or.
But looking at what we lived through during the actual Monday
liberal
Night War,
championship wrestling,
region was a factor.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Because it was still territories. Those were just now the territories.
Now there are no territories.
Texas, Von Erichs, and the Grahams, Florida, McMahon in New York. It was now okay. Here's the line. Basically, WF's got Philly, this New York City, Boston. And then NWA's got, all the small southern cities, Charlotte and Roanoke, and sometimes California was kind of like, could be either side of it.
But you also look at the region itself. Where we grew up in the tri-state area, it was very much WWF. WWF number one.
For the marks.
We were in, but
a lot of people grew up, like my father and my godfather grew up in Brooklyn, and they would get to see Florida Championship Wrestling, and there was a pretty big following of it from people in their neighborhood, more so than WF, because it wasn't lame. People they hated Pedro Morales, they hated guys like that.
But in their time, it wasn't so much us versus them. It was like they didn't even really acknowledge anyone outside of here's the NWA champions.
Hogan actually did that.
It was kind of When we grew up, we were indoctrinated with propaganda. WWF is number one. WWF is number one.
Yeah.
We became loyal.
Of course, they had the gold logo with the lightning.
Right. That's what we know. That's what mainstream knew.
Smart.
That's what mainstream
That's how you do it, man. That's how you make a corporation.
That's what
Nike, man.
That's almost anybody our age.
That's golden arches.
Everyone was a wrestling fan when they were little.
You got to swoosh the golden arches and the WF logo. That's.
I know it's the corporation.
It wasn't like that in the 70s.
But a lot of people never broke that. We know people who are still if it's not WWF, I'm not watching it.
Which is absurd,
Of course,
it's like being like, if it's not the Beatles,
it's blindly loyal. But being blindly loyal is still blind.
No.
The only thing that might have made a little interjection was maybe ECW, because that was also a Northeast sort of thing. We watched it on MSG Network.
Oh, but most, no, not at all. Most of the ECW guys, the smart ones, they would show up at WWF shows and they hated WCW. They hated Bischoff, but there wasn't the same sort of venom towards Bischoff as McMahon.
No,
if you watched ECW, then man, you would see, anytime they were in Philly WWF, there'd be a ton of ECW fans there, and they'd be marking out for the same stuff. During the Attitude Era, it was like, we all hate WCW, we all agree on that. You'd see all those goofballs that jerk off with the Hawaiian shirt and the guy with the beard, all those freaks, it being at Survivor Series.
It was kind of the same, It was like,
and all due respect to them.
Well, a lot
they kind of saw some elements of ECW.
All due respect.
That's why.
But a lot of the wrestlers, and I would enjoy, probably Cactus Jack, when they would get in the ECW arena with all their loyal followers and say, "You're just gonna watch me on Monday night anyway," and most of them probably did.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pretend. Yeah. There was a lot of fan kayfabe when it came to hating WWF.
Yeah.
WCW always got the bad.
Like Taz burning the Raw shirt.
North and South, man. Yeah. But there was more reason to hate it now, because now you had the WWF guys that you hated in WCW too. So now you hated this other company that you grew up being told not to like as a kid by the WWF, and you also had the WWF guys that you didn't like because you were too cool back in the 80s, like Hogan and Savage and Piper, and now they're old too. So there's a ton of stuff to hate WCW for not a kayfabe.
So basically, TNA isn't even big enough to be hated right now.
No, because you know what? First of all,
TNA never even acknowledges it.
If they were alright, say if they were gonna stay in there, MGM Arena or whatever. They need to be live. That's number one. And also another great thing about the Monday Night Wars is when there was a switch, it always meant something. When WCW guy would come to WWF, the way they debuted was something unique, like Big Show, like Jericho, the Radicals, for example. Look how they brought in Monty Brown. Here's this guy. Let's give him another name.
Now, granted, he got a small.
Who's this guy?
He got a small TNA chant. Small. It wasn't nearly as overwhelming as like an ECW sort of thing.
It's like the guy with the Hawaiian shirt. We know, that's more for the fans to be cool, thinking they're cool, than it is to get TNA over.
But it also
we know what this is.
It also wasn't a thing where he shows up out of the crowd and it's a huge thing.
They could have made it big.
Well, they could have. But they didn't even bother.
If Jim Ross goes,
oh my God, it's Monty Brown.
They need to have something equivalent to DDP taking off the mask.
If the Titantron one day, if Cena's in the ring and the lights go out and it just says Samoa Joe, the place will come unglued. Because enough people will know who that is and what he means. Whether everybody knows who that is.
So Joe goes
They've got
beyond
one guy.
TNA.
Oh yeah, totally. He goes way beyond TNA. And it's funny because they kind of made him a star. You know,
they gave him the national level.
It's where it's like ROH kind of created him, and then TNA said, "Oh, now we can do this on national level." So really, ROH made him a star.
They really just did everything ROH did.
TNA now has a chance to pull the trigger. They missed their opportunity.
But they ain't gonna do it with. The problem is he's too big for them.
He's beyond.
He's beyond that. If he wins their title, it's like what?
Yeah, you know what? He could have. He beat Jarrett.
His place,
a non-title match.
Ready Internet and send it right at me. Samoa Joe is home on Monday night on Raw. That's where he will benefit wrestling the best. I hate to say it, but that's where he should be. Because he helps them.
What's the alternative?
Because he helps them change their whole dynamic with the whole Benoit thing. Here's a guy who doesn't have a great physique who's over because of his ability, personality, charisma. You put him right in there with any of their guys. He'll have a great match. And the fans love him.
He's got the it factor.
He's got it.
But how do you not see him on Monday night?
Because I think in they fucked up enough guys where I really don't trust them. The only person
is it better to stay in TNA and have nothing happen, or do what Monty Brown thought? I'll take my chances elsewhere.
I think he should wait at least another 2 years.
Samoa Joe is the type of guy.
He has no choice.
Samoa Joe is a type of guy.
He has no choice. His contract is up for 2 years.
He could squander in the WF McCartan and get pushed all wrong for like 3 years and still, because he's got that sort of charisma. There's something about that guy that people really dig.
I mean, it's
Eddie squandered in the mid card of WF. Face heel, up, down, this, that, and then finally they succumb, and he was a huge star. Joe's that sort of star. Austin, there's so many guys like that. Even Hogan, back and forth and back and forth.
I think they look at Joe.
They could ruin him and still say.
And because TNA is on such a small scale,
they push Umaga.
They push Umaga, yeah.
But they dress him up in clown.
Yeah, that's true. He's not like big tough guy, you know.
But
big tough guy has to look like Batista to be big tough guy.
Whether anything happens in the future, whether it's not TNA or somebody else,
Big Dave.
How do you see the brand split factoring in there? Because they've kept this bullshit up for years. SmackDown, Raw, ECW.
Well,
is that their heavy guns against any sort of competition?
No.
You don't think it's going to be
because the Raw is their flag bearer. So no matter what, you wouldn't have Jericho.
But SmackDown does have a big audience.
It's a network show.
But
kind of.
Again, Raw is their baby. They're going to do something, they're going to do it on Raw. Mm-hmm. Raw's a live show. Raw's a brings in the rating. Raw's a moneymaker. No matter what they have, it's always all about Raw.
You think they'll ever end the brand split?
No, they don't have a reason to.
I don't think so.
Because
right now they don't have a reason.
I mean, they're not making money or losing money off of it. It's just something that they decided, if we give this up, we admit that we screwed up the whole invasion, which everyone knows anyway. So, but it's working out for them in a way because they can create synthetic, dream matches.
Like how they kept Angle and Michaels apart for so long, and then had
the bad part about it is obviously the three
match.
championships dilutes the belts. But I think it works on a general level. People like the idea of Punk's on SmackDown this week. It creates a general buzz.
Yeah, and
I think it's ridiculous.
Rey Mysterio's going to be on Raw.
Yeah,
it's spiked up ratings a little bit.
Speaking of all their different brands, that's going to lead us into next time.
Brands!
Because there's talk of them making all these different brands in different countries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Next time, we're going to be talking about whether American fans can get into foreign wrestlers and vice versa. So, hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.